Tonight's big stories. Canlaon City in Negros Oriental has been placed under a state of calamity while thousands have been evacuated following Canlaon volcano's explosive eruption on Monday. The AFP releases its own video of the May 19 encounter at Ayungin or 2nd Thomas Shoal, showing Chinese Coast Guard chasing after, then seizing food supplies meant for Filipino troops at the BRP Sierra Madre.
And 49 police officers in Bamban, Tarlac have been relieved from their posts amid the investigation into Mayor Alice Go. We'll be speaking to Go's legal counsel, attorney Stephen David, later on.
Good evening. Welcome to the show. I'm Regina Lay.
I'm Gretchen Ho. And I'm Shawn Yao.
Canlaon City in Negros Oriental is now under a state of calamity following Canlaon volcano's explosive eruption on Monday.
Several towns and barangays are now covered in ash, forcing residents to evacuate.
Here to give us updates from the ground, we have News 5's Gio Robles. Gio, what's the latest on that?
Ladies, glad to see you. As we speak, over 500 families in Negros Island have evacuated since last night following the eruption of Canlaon volcano. Canlaon City, where I am right now, has been placed under a state of calamity with several barangays directly affected by the phreatic eruption. Following last night's volcanic activity, nearby towns can be seen covered in ashes. Even this cabbage farm in Barangay Masulog Uno in Canlaon City was also covered in ashfall. Residents say they were caught unprepared by the eruption. Canlaon volcano spewed plumes reaching 5,000 meters high on Monday, prompting authorities to declare alert level 2.
Daway na ko gurok balo kung anong kudyuton ko.
Wala na ka mo nagduwa-duwa pa magtiner sa balay nyo?
Ay, oo malagyo kaya kay amo sinaya.
Mahirap sir kasi bata, mahirap makalanghap ng asopre. Dito na dumiretso, yung malayo sa amoy ng asopre.
The Canlaon LGU has prohibited any activity within the volcano's 4-kilometer radius permanent danger zone. The local government also ordered since last night mandatory evacuations in the areas within the permanent danger zone or PDZ. President Bongbong Marcos has assured help for the families affected.
Patuloy ang ating mga ahensya tulad ng PhilBox, NDRMC at ang DSWD sa kanilang masusing pagsusubaybay at pagbibigay ng suporta. Namigay na tayo ng mga sleeping kits sa La Castellana at may 13,000 family food packs na ang nakapreposition sa Negros Island at may karagdagang 40,000 food packs at iba pang non-food items na paparating. Naka-standby din ang ating mga air asset para sa mas mabilis na pagresponde.
The National Police is also on standby, ready to deploy forces to help with the search and rescue activities when needed. As of today, or as of this time, FIVOC's latest advisory, Canlaon volcano remains under alert level 2. The agency warns that another eruption is still possible as well as lahar flows. From Canlaon City, back to you.
Reporting us from Negros Oriental, that was News 5's Gio Robles. Moving on now to the West Philippine Sea, the AFP categorically denied China's accusations that Philippine troops stationed at the grounded BRP Sierra Madre pointed their guns at the Chinese Coast Guard. The Philippine military also released video evidence that China snatched supplies meant for Filipino soldiers. Ryan Castillo has that report.
Lako!
This video shows 2 rubber boats of the China Coast Guard appearing to play patintero and chasing around the Philippines' much smaller rubber boats in the waters of Ayungin Shoal May 19. This footage was taken from the BRP Sierra Madre, which was supposed to receive supplies airdropped by the AFP for the troops stationed in the military outpost. But when Chinese agents in the area saw the airdrop mission, they immediately deployed rubber boats to seize the supplies meant for the Filipino soldiers. That's when the chase began.
Ako, babagay lata. Muntik na. Babagayin. Hilahin nyo yung parachute. Hilahin, dalhin sa bangura.
China's rubber boats stop at nothing to chase and block the Philippines' rubber boats.
Yoko, sa bangura, babagayin kayo.
The Chinese rubber boats soon started approaching the BRP Sierra Madre, and with tensions rising, soldiers aboard the BRP Sierra Madre were ordered to take their positions and to be on alert.
Huwag niyo ipakuha. Yung mga baril natin, standby dyan sa gantap.
At the end of that video, it can be seen that one of the Chinese Coast Guard personnel moved to snatch supplies from the Philippine rubber boats. But those at the BRP Sierra Madre started screaming at them. The Chinese Coast Guard backed off afterwards. The AFP notes, these are scenes that China's released footage of the incident did not show.
The BRP Sierra Madre is a commissioned Philippine Navy ship, and therefore it is authorized to have weapons.
China made it appear as though the Philippine troops pointed their guns at the Chinese Coast Guard. But the AFP categorically denied that this ever happened.
We are denying that any of our soldiers pointed deliberately their guns to any of the Chinese.
Our soldiers, as a precautionary measure, held on to their firearms. It's part of the rules of engagement. Lahat yan. Hindi pwedeng hindi ka handa in case something happens.
There have been multiple incidents in the past of Chinese and Philippine ships colliding during resupply missions to Ayungin. But now that the Philippines has resorted to using planes and airdropping of supplies instead, China is still not backing down.
Wala na yung harassment na nangyayari sa dagat, no? Pero still, nakita niyo sa video, ganun pa rin eh. Ganun pa rin. Ayaw tayong tantanan.
In total, 3 of the 4 batches of supplies were received by the Filipino troops in BRP Sierra Madre. 1 batch was seized by the China Coast Guard and were thrown into the sea when they found out that it only contained food and medicine. Despite the incident, the AFP says it's not giving up and will continue its resupply missions.
Ang bilin po ng ating Pangulo ay wag nating hayaan na mag-escalate yung situation. We are practicing maximum tolerance.
Back in the mainland, some militant groups expressed their condemnation of China's actions by lying on the sidewalk in front of the Chinese embassy in Makati while holding signages saying that Chinese vessels are the ones trespassing in the West Philippine Sea.
Ang sinasabi nilang nasasakupan nila ay maliwanag na nakapaloob sa ating exclusive economic zone. Nakapaloob sa 200 nautical mile na tinatawag natin.
This protest comes on the back of China's threat to detain supposed trespassers in the disputed waters. For News 5, Brian Castillo, we are One News.
To strengthen its defense, the Philippine military has kicked off maritime aviation drills with the United States. And these will be held in different provinces, including one that is facing the West Philippine Sea. Drills under this year's MASA, or Marine Aviation Support Activity between the Philippines and the U.S. Marine Corps, are the biggest to date. More than 3,000 Filipino and American soldiers are participating in the joint drills. The training will focus on the use of aviation support or the involvement of air forces in military operations on land and sea. MASA also aims to further enhance the capabilities of the two allied forces to work together in various military operations, particularly in the air.
Philippine and American Marines and service members will be working side by side, advancing our aviation capabilities together to enable coastal defense, enhance air and maritime domain awareness, and to increase our integrated air and missile defense capabilities.
Goal actually is for us to be able to put a capability that can support and defend our territory. This is all about how to defend the Philippines.
Like the Balita exercises back in April, literal live fire exercises will again take place in Ilocos Norte. There will also be exercises held in Palawan, facing the West Philippine Sea, and Batanes, the Philippine province closest to Taiwan. Philippine and U.S. Marines once again stressed that MASA is not being held in relation to any regional conflicts. But there will be a permanent posting of the 4th Marine Brigade in Burgos, Ilocos Norte.
We defined our territorial defense, and so we considered the one in the north is also vulnerable because of it is considered international passage. It is considered um, a, a terrain that has historical footnotes during the previous conflicts we experienced. So we adjusted our deployment so that we can cover the 7,000 islands so that we can provide a good maritime security posture in our archipelagic nation.
Here to tell us more about the latest incident out in the West Philippine Sea, we have with us on the show AFP spokesperson Colonel Francel Padilla. Magandang gabi po.
Good evening, ladies. Good evening to our viewers.
Okay, Colonel, the AFP released a video today showing speedboats, rubber boats, rigid hull boats of the Philippines and China playing cat and mouse with each other. But to be honest, the videos have come piece by piece. Can you give us a big picture, or can you give us the full story of what was happening out here in mid-May?
On May 19th, the Armed Forces of the Philippines conducted a resupply mission via airdrop. So with this, you can see in the video that the Chinese tried to take hold of the provisions that were intended for our troops in Ayungin Shoal.
Okay, Colonel, can you give us some more context? Ang dami kong tanong actually. First off, is this in a reaction to the video that China first released showing the other side of that confrontation according to their narrative? Also, how often do we do airdrops? I know we talk about this, but we have not seen these videos. So, marami po ba kayong hawak ng mga gantong video? Lahat po ba ng mga resupply missions nowadays dinodocument? How much videos do you have that we haven't seen? How often does this happen? Can you set the context for us, Colonel?
To put things into perspective, yung atin pong mga RORE missions, regular po natin kinoconduct yan. Not only in Ayungin Shoal, but all the other features that we have within the West Philippine Sea and our exclusive economic zone. So this is a regular thing for the Armed Forces of the Philippines because the troops that are detailed in these areas are Armed Forces of the Philippines personnel. So it is part of our mandate to provide for their welfare. So kailangan natin i-rotate sila and of course provide for their provisions. So it's a regular conduct of activity that we have, including all the other features.
Yes, meaning, sorry, Colonel, I was actually meaning to ask, like, when does it happen that it's an airdrop? Kasi minsan, di ba, by boat rin po dinadala yung mga provisions. I remember a few months ago, we were talking about, ba't di na lang i-airdrop since laging ang hinaharang yung mga bangka? Yung po ba yung nagyari kaya naging airdrop siya? Or are the RERO or RORES alternating between airdrop and boat? Yeah, and boat routes?
Yes, ma'am. No, that's all part of the operational mix of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. So, depending on the situation and the urgency, tinitingnan po natin kung ano yung kailangan natin gawin in order to conduct this rotation and resupply missions.
Pero parang napaghandaan po ng China ito, no? Ano yun, parang were they reactive here? Kumbaga nakita nila na this was happening or napaghandaan nila, alam nilang darating. At saka ilan po yung mga rubber boats ng China?
As you can see in the video, no, over and above the ribs ng China, meron din kasi in the background, makikita nyo yung Chinese militia vessels and their PLA Navy. So yung presence nila nandyan din lang sa area, and when they saw that the aircraft going in for the airdrop was coming, tsaka nila dineploy yung kanilang mga ribs. But really, what we have to discuss this is yung presence nila in the area. We have to take into context that this is the exclusive economic zone of the Philippines, 200 nautical miles. So to begin with, they have no business being in the area in the first place.
When you say that they started to react when they saw the Philippine troops coming, were there any ships nearby, or talagang these were just rubber boats?
No, there are ships nearby. You have Chinese militia vessels and a PLA Navy ship and the Chinese Coast Guard ship in the area. So we are thinking whether kung saan talaga nanggaling itong mga ribs na to, no? They are deployed from a bigger mothership.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, Colonel, nakita natin yung isa pang issue nito, no, nagsimula kasi yung issue, I think China released a video, sabi nila tinutukan daw ng baril ng mga marine natin, ng Philippine Marines, yung mga Chinese Coast Guard na nakasakay doon sa rubber boats. What can you tell us and clarify, kasi hindi namin makita sa video, medyo malabo po, mukhang may baril nga doon, narinig din doon sa video, mismong from the AFP, ang narinig ko ay guns on standby. Ang meaning ba nun, naka-standby lang pero hindi nakatutok? Can you explain that to us?
Yes, no. Let us put into context that the LS-57 is a commissioned Navy vessel. So, we have all the right to bear arms, yung mga tropa natin, no, that are stationed in the area. But looking at this in a bigger perspective, let us not be dissuaded on the real issue here, which is China's illegal presence in the West Philippine Sea. They have their illegal, coercive, aggressive, and deceptive activities. And this is one of them, no? Yung pag-agaw nila ng provisions that are intended for our troops. So really, Chinese are the ones causing provocation and heightened tensions in the West Philippine Sea and disrupting the peace in the Indo-Pacific region.
Colonel, there were also reports that China blocked the medical evacuation of ailing Filipino troops. Can you confirm that and give us more details?
Yes, ma'am. No, there was a medical evacuation for 3 of our ailing soldiers prior to this RORE mission, which was obstructed by the CCG. Fortunately, we were able to push through with our medevac despite a delay in the medical assistance needed for our personnel. So it is noteworthy that our soldiers have already received the necessary medical attention and have been discharged from the hospital after a day of confinement.
What do you mean by obstructed? Hinarang, blocking maneuvers po ba yun?
Yes, ma'am.
Is this the first time that this has happened? I mean, our airdrops being stolen from us, pati medevac natin haharangan.
Ito ma'am, no, ito yung una pa lang na naiulat na ganitong activity nila ngayon sa area.
Okay, isa pang clarification, Colonel, regarding ulit dun sa guns. You didn't actually answer kung nakatutok po ba yung mga gun or naka-standby lang, and ano yung difference nun in terms of military protocol and SOP. Bilang civilians kami, we're not exactly sure kung sinabi mong standby ba nandito lang sa tabi na nakababa or nakatutok ng ganon, like how does that work?
Yes, ma'am, no. To put into context, our personnel are governed by the rules of engagement. And clearly, they acted with the highest level of professionalism, restraint, and discipline in this performance of their mission. So ito is for us to safeguard our sovereignty and our sovereign rights. So dito, ma'am, because yung Coast Guard vessels nga, yung ribs nila, are trying to get hold of our provisions, no? These foreign vessels had ventured dangerously close to our military vessel. And therefore, they are in violation of our safe distance protocol, which necessitates heightened vigilance on our part and alertness from our personnel. Hence, our troops were seen on guard because of the CCG's provocative presence near the BRP Sierra Madre.
Okay.
Again, this incident happened on May 19th. As far as we know, China was the first to release their video. Why did we wait to release the footage? Was there any reason behind it?
Sabi nga natin, ma'am, no, we are trying to normalize the RORE emissions. So this is only one of the different features that we are conducting RORE emissions. Other features po, ma'am, talagang continuous naman natin ginagawa yan. And there's no, wala namang big issue on how we conduct our RORE emissions other than this. So gusto na natin, ma'am, i-normalize that this is part of all of the features that we perform RORE emissions on a regular basis.
Colonel, sa totoo lang, nung pinapanood namin yung video, medyo nakakagalit siya eh. Kasi, I mean, this is concerning already food and humanitarian aid to the military outposts. And even the Coast Guard spokesperson Roy Vincent Trinidad said, common sense naman na hindi construction materials yung ini-airdrop dito sa Ayungin. Ano po ang plano natin Para kasi mukhang, I mean, if you're bringing out guns already, it seems to be headed, I mean, there's no other way. Ano po yung plano natin in terms of, in case this happens again, how do we keep our military men from being harassed? Meron po ba tayong adjustments?
So for the side of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, we are exploring other strategies so that we can safely and successfully conduct RORE missions without the interference of the CCG. Kung makita nyo nga ma'am, part ito ng operational mix nga natin, atong airdrop, kasi nakita na natin how dangerous it is when we do our by sea, no? So but ginawan pa rin nila ng paraan para maagaw ito, and nakita naman po talaga natin na pagkain talaga yung laman ng provisions, no? And there was now even no need for them to throw it back to the sea. Kung talaga pong well-meaning sila, pwede naman pong iabot na lang nila back yon to our troops. So makita talaga natin, ma'am, na even when these are considered as humanitarian missions, they're really going out there and even tweaking the narrative, no, sa kanilang ICAD operations.
Colonel, curious lang ako, yung mga rubber boats natin, yung mga mas maliliit na nakikita doon sa video, galing po ba sila sa BRP Sierra Madre? Meaning, of course, hindi naman ganun ka-perfect yung airdrop, so pag nalaglag, talagang hahabulin nila. Kitang-kita natin sa video na sobrang dehado po yung mga bangka natin. Meron bang plano na bigyan ng mas malakas na makina yung mga rubber boat natin para naman kung maghabulan ulit, mas may chance tayo na makuha yung mga ayuda?
Yes, ma'am, no. This is all part of our Horizon 3, our modernization projects. Ito po, galing ito sa LS-57 nga. Hindi kasi possible, no, na directly i-drop yung provisions to the vessel. So really, very near po talaga yung pag-drop ng ating airdrop missions, very near the vessel, our LS-57. And talagang nire-recover na lang siya ng rubber boats natin. So makita niyo po talaga na with the effort of the Chinese to get a hold of it, lumapit po talaga sila ng husto sa ating commissioned Navy vessel.
Parang lang ipalayok sa children's party. Yung para pag nalaglag, uunahan. Yeah, go ahead, Ren.
So just the last question for me, Colonel. I was wondering if you could give us an update on Admiral Alberto Carlos, the former chief of the Westcom. Last we spoke to you, you said he went on personal leave, but before we knew it, he had, been relieved from his post already. So what is the latest on that?
Admiral Carlos is still on leave at this moment, ma'am. Nag-extend po siya, no? So for us to, syempre critical po yung area ng Westcom, kaya po nag-full-time na po tayo ng Westcom commander in the person of Vice Admiral Torres. So sa ngayon po, si Vice Admiral Carlos is under the headquarters support command of the General Headquarters Armed Forces of the Philippines, on duty po under the Office of the Chief of Staff.
Colonel, as we know that China has imposed its 4-month fishing ban in the South China Sea, and there are reports that they have been threatening to arrest trespassers. Ano pong protocol natin sa kasakaling may Pilipino na ma-detain for fishing or trespassing?
Ito pong detention, ma'am, no, and our law enforcement activities in our seas. So they are primarily the role po of the Philippine Coast Guard and the BFAR. So ang Armed Forces of the Philippines po, being in the area, patrolling our waters, will also assist accordingly in the law enforcement activities if need be.
Okay, so meaning wala pang plano ba? Or do we have, kunyari, may nakikinig na mangingisda dito at nahuli silang trespassing, ano po yung magiging response? Kukunin sila nung Chinese Coast Guard? Anong depensa nila?
As of this moment, ma'am, no, we cannot speculate on the future actions that we need to take on such scenarios because there are different scenarios and risk-based analysis to this, such as andun ba yung Philippine Navy vessels natin in the immediate vicinity pag ganito ang nangyari, would they be detaining a fisherman and all that. So suffice to say po that we have contingency plans in place.
All right. Maraming salamat for sharing all those details with us. We have AFP spokesperson Colonel Francel Padilla. Up next, after the suspension of their mayor, Alice Go, 49 cops in Bamban were also relieved. to make way for the investigation into pogos in the municipality. We'll talk more about the case with Mayor Go's lawyer, Attorney Stephen David, when we return. Keep it here. Welcome back. You're still watching the big story here on One News.
Almost 50 cops in Bamban were relieved from their posts after the suspension of Town Mayor Alice Go. The Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission, or PAOC, also says that they have enough evidence to prove that Mayor Go is involved in pogo operations in Bamban. Ria Fernandez with the details.
Transactions at the Bamban Municipal Office remain uninterrupted despite the Ombudsman's preventive suspension against Mayor Alice Go. For now, Vice Mayor Leonardo Anunciacion is serving as the acting mayor. Anunciacion is involved in the administrative complaint filed by the DILG regarding pogo operations in the town. But he was not included in the list of officials placed under preventive suspension by the Ombudsman. Those suspended are Mayor Alice Go, Business Permit and Licensing Office Head Edwin Ocampo, and Municipal Legal Officer Aiden Sigua. In a statement, Mayor Go maintained her innocence, noting that she is only serving the people of Bamban. Go's lawyer, Attorney Stephen David, stated that in response to the Ombudsman's order, they will file a motion for reconsideration and a motion to lift the suspension. Meanwhile, 49 police officers in Bamban Tarlac were relieved from their positions, also in connection with the investigation of pogo operations in the town. According to the PNP, they are looking into possible neglect of duty or negligence among the assigned police officers in Bamban. The dismissed police officers will be transferred to Police Regional Office 3 to undergo values formation and reorientation program. They will be replaced by police officers from various towns in Tarlac.
How come for the longest time ay nag-ooperate po itong sinasabing illegal na pogo diyan sa kanilang lugar? How come na hindi po nila na monitor na may mga ganito na palang illegal activities? Unforgiving tayo dito sa mga ganitong klaseng mga pulis natin kung talagang nagkaroon ng kapabayaan.
Meanwhile, Senate President Pro Tempore Jinggoy Estrada revealed that a mayor in Pangasinan is operating a pogo in Bamban Tarlac. According to Senator Jinggoy's source, the said mayor is allegedly a partner of Mayor Go.
I just received a very, very reliable information that her partner is a public official. So, sabi ko, mayor ng isang maliit na bayan sa Pangasinan. And according to my bubuit, siya yung nagpapatakbo ng POG operations ng owned by allegedly kay Mayor Alice Go doon mismo sa Bamban.
Despite the preventive suspension, Go's camp continues to insist that she has no involvement in the pogo operations in Bamban.
Ano bang connection niya sa pogo? Wala nga siyang, hindi nga siya nakita doon, wala nga siyang pangalan doon.
But speaking with Radyo 5's Ted Filon and DJ Chacha, Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission spokesperson Winston Casio said that they have found enough documents to prove that Mayor Go is involved in the pogo operations in Bamban. The PAOC is the agency that led the raids in Bamban's pogo compound.
Medyo nabigla kami nung nakatanggap kami ng mga disconnection notices galing doon sa Tarelco 2, nakapangalan kay Mayor Alice Lial Guo, Bamban Tarlac. So doon kami nagsimulang maghalukay ng mga ebidensya na meron nga po siyang involvement dito sa naturang raided na pogo ito. Sa pag-ahalukay namin, napakarami namin nakitang dokumento. Una na nga po doon, yung bukod doon sa Tarelco bill, yung letter of no objection.
The PAOC says they are also preparing to file charges for tax evasion and violation of securities laws against Go. For News 5, Ria Fernandez, we are One News.
Here to give us their side on the matter, we have with us tonight, live via Zoom, Attorney Stephen David, Legal Counsel of Bamban Mayor Alice Go. Good evening, Attorney. Thanks for making Thanks for making time out for us today. I'm sure you're extremely busy.
Hindi naman, okay lang. Thank you.
you're a little dark, but it's okay as long as we can hear you, I guess. Listen,
Okay.
the first thing I wanted to know is actually, can I ask how long you've been Alice Liao Guo's lawyer? How long have you known her?
I was engaged last after the Pogo raid.
That was in March.
April, first week or second week of April,
Also recently lang.
2024.
Recently lang.
Very recently.
Did you know her before?
I haven't known her before.
Okay. And but the thing is that, attorney, you're defending her, right? So
Yes.
I'm just curious, like how you're able to verify her statements. There's been a lot of inconsistencies in the statements that she's given to Senate, right?
No, I was in the Senate investigation, attended all the Senate investigation. I did not find any inconsistency. In fact, she was very consistent in her answers. It's just that she wants to be sure before answering. But she cannot just say yes or no. You know, she is under oath, and she has to think about the answers that she will be giving.
I guess I don't understand why you have to think of the answers when these are they're questions relating to her person, right? Therefore, you should know the answers immediately. So I'll give you an example. For instance, she said her mother was Amelia Leal, but the PSA said they don't have a record of such a person. And then also in her birth certificate, it says her parents are married. But again, the PSA says they don't have such a record for the parents. Again, I'm trying to put two and two together here, trying to understand how you're able to, attest to the veracity of her claims when there are a lot of holes here.
No, the birth certificate was prepared by an informer. She had nothing to do with the preparation or information given in the birth certificate. So how can we fault her for that? And as to the identity of her mother, she was just informed that her mother is a certain Amelia Leal by her father. She never saw the mother in her entire lifetime.
Yeah, but for instance, there was also the issue of the siblings, right? She wasn't very upfront
Yeah.
about the siblings. We only found out about it later on after Senator Risa Ontiveros showed the travel documents of her traveling with the siblings.
During the first Senate hearing, she was asked if she knows this Sheila Leal Go. She did not categorically say she didn't know. She said, I will check who this person is. Because as far as she knows, she does not have a sister by that name. But after the second hearing, when she had the opportunity to confer with her father, she was now sure that Sheila is her half-sister, also a daughter of her father.
Attorney naman, that's a technicality. You're trying to get us on a legal technicality. I mean, she's already traveled with the siblings,
16
right?
times, according to the Immigration Bureau's reports. I was avidly following the hearings din po, and honestly, attorney, I was so confused by all the details. So we're hoping you can shed some light. So she did not know this person she was traveling with was in fact her half-sister?
When a father or a man for that matter, had sired several children, will she have to flaunt it over the other children? Kapatid nyo yan, anak nyo yan. Most of the times, the father does not give details as to the other siblings. Diba? Tinatago nila yan eh. So,
yes po.
we
Pero
cannot
bakit
fault
po sila
her for not
nakapag-travel? So obviously, hindi sila tinago forever from each other because Alice and Sheila supposedly, according to Immigration Bureau records, ay nakapag-travel together 16 times. In those 16, was that under the assumption na hindi nila alam? Mag-anak
They were
sila.
partners. They were partners. But remember, who supplied the incorporators in these companies? It was the father who made the incorporation. The father just named several people in the as incorporators. They never knew each other. Of course, when they started commencing business, they know they were partners.
Attorney, pupuntahan ko lang po itong preventive suspension ng Office of the Ombudsman kay Mayor. Even if the PAGCOR license was revoked, First of all, kasi nakita ko October 25 yung na-issue yung business permit. Hindi po ba alam ni Mayor Alice na hindi niya tinanong ba na kung meron silang provisional license from PAGCOR, which is a requirement for the issuance of a business permit?
Nung in-issue niya yung mayor's permit ni Mayor Alice, merong provisional license. In fact, subject yan sa stipulation that it can be revoked kung hindi makukuha yung license. But there was a provisional license.
Pero hindi na-renew, di ba? Tapos tama po ba yung appreciation namin ng facts, Attorney David, na kumbaga hindi pa paso yung provisional license from PAGCOR, nabigay niya yung permit, pero after some months, biglang nag-expire, hindi na na-renew. What then happens nga sa business permit ng ganon? Hindi ba automatic na canceled yon because that business permit was given, of course, with the assumption na may actual, active, valid gaming license?
By operation of law, automatically makakancel dyan kasi yun nga ang condition. But ang issue dito, ang pinag-uusapan, when she issued the mayor's permit, meron bang compliance yung applicant? Meron. Kaya nga, ang issue lang naman dito, yung pag-issue niya ng mayor's permit eh.
Bakit?
At that time, nung in-issue niya yung act na yan, compliant yung applicant eh. There was a provisional license given by PAGCOR.
Pero bakit hindi po na-revoke ito, no? Kasi
that is another issue.
Correct.
Hindi naman kasi yan ang pinag-uusapan ang issue. Why did she issue a mayor's permit during the time na nag-apply? Because there was a provisional license at that time.
Bakit naman po hindi na i-revoke yung business permit nung napaso na po yung provisional license? I know that's a different matter, but out of curiosity, would you know why?
That is actually the argument of the Office of the Ombudsman.
If there is a condition on a certain privilege, that is all automatically revoked kung hindi niya na-comply yung conditions na yun. Hindi na niya kailangan i-revoke yun. Subject to a condition, di mo na-comply, they revoke. Revoke na yun by operation of law.
Correct, but this was her former land, a piece of land, as part of the Baofu land development, which she says she has divested from. She should have, done something, knowing that na-revoke na nga po itong license ng Zun Yuan. Bakit wala pong ginawa si Mayor?
Ano ba dapat ang gagawin niya doon? Wala naman siyang participation sa ano na yan, sa operation na yan. Wala siya ron eh. Wala naman siyang role dun eh.
Oh, pero trabaho niya po bilang mayor to make sure that everybody is compliant.
Alam mo, yung pagmo-monitor ng mga POGO operations na yan, hindi siya may trabaho niyan. It's the legal responsibility of PAGCOR. Meron silang 24-hour monitoring operation dyan for platform audit. Kasi, there are gamblings here, bidding, etc. Ang government is interested in the taxes that will be remitted to the PAGCOR. So hindi ang mayor ang may gawa, ang may responsibility noon.
But nakikita po natin sa ibang syudad, katulad na lang po dito sa malapit po sa Pasig City, naka-close down itong mga POGO. Mayor pa po nagpupunta para isarado yan.
Correct. Kung meron mag-trigger ng report, wala naman nag-trigger sa kanya.
Ibig sabihin wala po nag-report?
Wala namang report na certain irregularity, illegalities are being perpetrated in that area. Di sana nag-trigger yan, nag-create siya ng team para imbestigahan yan, ipadlock. Makialam ka, Mayor, kung makialam ka sa isang negosyo, you will be misunderstood as asking for protection money. Walang trigger.
You're saying she was completely unaware that the business was not compliant?
Ano yung not compliant? Compliant nga siya eh.
No, but you're saying...
Kaya nga in-issue yung mayor's permit.
But you were saying she was unaware that may problema yung may POGO there.
Na na-revoke po.
Was she informed? Was there any lead na sinasabi, may illegal dito, allegedly kiniklaim ng PAO? May ganyan. Was she informed of that? Who informed her para kumilos siya? Kasi you don't expect an executive head na pumunta sa bawat corporation at mag-imbestiga na walang trigger.
With all due respect, Attorney David, dumaan lang po ako dyan nung last weekend. No? Sobrang laki niya po sa Google Maps. Hindi lang yon. As everyone has pointed out, it's right behind the munisipyo. 2 times na rin po siya na-raid. Na-raid po siya noong 2023, na-raid din siya noong 2024. Are you saying that wala po siya talaga at all sa radar ni Mayor Go?
Nung na-raid dyan, nung 2023 yata yun, di naman 2024. Ito lang yung
Correct. 2 beses po.
Wala siya. Wala siya doon. Kaya nga nung pinaimbestigan niya, nag-create siya ng team, na-file na yung case. So, hindi na siya pwede makialam. Out of the country siya noon eh. So, nung nagkaroon ng raid, out of the country siya, nung pagbalik niya, nag-create ng team to inspect, investigate, meron ng cases filed. Hindi na niya pwede pakialaman yun.
How do you explain her ties to the 2 people who were implicated in Singapore's largest money laundering case? Right, they were co-incorporators of Baofu Land, which again is the company that owns the land that the Pogos were housed on. So, how do you explain that then?
She already explained that exhaustively in the Senate investigation.
Yes, okay. Attorney, she said
She was a meat dealer. She was a meat dealer, right?
Yeah.
She was a hog raiser. So, supplier siya ng karne sa Clark, sa mga restaurants, hotels. Then, she met Huang Zijiang, the owners of various restaurant operations in Clark. So, over time, naging confident siya, naging kaibigan niya. So she invited this guy to duplicate what is in Fontana in Bamban, because she had this 7-point-something hectares of land which she wanted to develop. Siyempre gusto niya kumita, negosyante siya eh. So she enticed Hu Jia, mag-create ka. It was intended for housing and construction facilities. Yung article of incorporation ng Bapa is for housing facilities. Diba? So, they started small. Partner sila, 50-50. Dalawa lang sila, si Jiang. And then, nung hindi na kaya ni Mayor yung financial contributions, kasi ano lang ang kaya niya, lupa lang. So, as far as she's concerned, she's only up to the capitalization na lupa lang ang kanyang ipoprovide. But then, madidilyot kasi nagpapasok ng pera si Hu Ziyang.
Yeah.
She decided to divest. At that time, si Hu Ziyang nag-source out na ng kanyang mga partners na hindi naman niya kilala. Hindi naman niya kilala kasi itong mga contacts ni Hu Ziyang to eh. So hindi niya kilala.
Right.
Ang kilala niya si Ziyang yata yan. Yung sinasabi nila na wanted sa Singapore, nalaman nga lang natin yan sa Senate.
Zhang Rijin and Lin Baoying are the names.
Yeah. Na-meet niya, nalaman lang niya yan sa Senate na involved sila sa mga ganyan activities.
I understand. I heard what she said at the Senate. I know she said that she was unaware of their criminal backgrounds.
Correct.
But my question to you is that really plausible? I mean, you're painting her out to be a sharp businesswoman, right? And as a sharp businesswoman, don't you think that one would at least know about the criminal backgrounds of your partners? You're saying that she was completely unaware?
She knows her partner, Hu Ziyang, a known entrepreneur, restaurant operator in Clark. She knew this Hu Ziyang.
No, I'm talking about the 2 that were implicated in the money laundering case.
She did not know this because these are the partners of Hu Ziyang, Huang Ziyang. These are the partners. Because when she backed out from the negotiation, from the business, kasi she cannot provide with financial capitalization, hanggang lupa lang. This guy outsourced from other investors. Hindi si Alice yun eh. Hindi si Mayor Alice ang naghanap ng mga investors. Isa lang ang kakilala niya doon.
Okay, attorney, dito na lang, no? Ito na nga, nagsalita na si Ombudsman. Ano naman ang game plan ninyo? Are you going to file an appeal against the preventive suspension ni Mayor Go? Kasama na dun, syempre, yung mga ibang kasamahan niya sa munisipyo ng Bamban. What's the game plan there, as much as you can tell us?
Ako kasi, I always believe in the sense of fairness and integrity of the Ombudsman. So ako, kung makikita niya yung depensa namin, I'm sure ma-enlighten siya, makikita niya wala Wala nang illegal sa ginawa ni Mayor Alice. Wala illegal dun kasi kaya nga ako, magpapile ako ng by Thursday na motion for reconsideration with request to lift the suspension. Kasi when the Ombudsman sees this defense, kasi hindi naman tayo nabigyan ng privilege ng chance to present our side, I am confident that this Ombudsman, who is a very fair guy, will see the light na, wala naman palang wala naman palang illegal dito. Kasi ang issue lang, nag-issue ka ng mayor's permit, meron namang provisional license ang ginrant mo. Kung hindi mo naman i-grant to, matatamaan ka naman ng dereliction of duty. Red tape ka pa, anti-red tape ka pa. Di ba, within lang yan within 72 hours, dapat mag-issue ka ng mayor's permit.
Attorney, sorry mawalan tayo ng oras. Yung executive session matutuloy po ba? Dapat, I think roughly middle of this week siya nakaschedule.
Bukas yun, bukas.
So tuloy, bukas.
Okay.
I know.
Wala na
Hindi naman
pag-asa
kami kasali doon.
Okay.
Wala na pag-asa na mapa-DNA test po sila, Lin Wenyi at Chen Zhongko, mga pauwi. Saan na po sila?
Alam mo, sino ba nag-allege niya na nanay yan o kapatid yan? Di ba, ang allegation is just allegation. Allegation is not evidence. So kung ikaw, ina-allege mo yan, dapat i-prove mo yon para maniwala. Kasi ang problema sa social media, allegations pala, pinaniwalaan na. Sila ang nag-claim Dapat sila magpatunay.
Okay.
We don't have to act, we don't have to respond to that.
Okay.
As far as we know, categorically, hindi niya nanay yan.
Okay. We will continue following this story, beginning with your executive session tomorrow and as well when you file the motion on Thursday. We thank you so much for your time tonight. Attorney Stephen David, Legal Counsel of Bamban Mayor Alice Guo. We're going to pause for a very quick one right now, but right after that, the Marcos administration slashes tariff rates on several key products, including that all-important produce, rice. Details when we return. Stay with us. Welcome back. You are watching the big story here on One News. The Marcos administration has approved a sizable tariff cut on rice and is also extending lower tariffs on some commodities. The NEDA board, which is chaired by the president, signed off on the new comprehensive tariff program for 2024 to 2028, cutting tariffs for rice down from 35% to 15%. The program also extends lower tariffs on corn, pork, and mechanically deboned meat until 2028. NEDA Chief Arsenio Balisacan says the move to cut rice tariffs should help bring down rice prices without hurting the government's revenue too much. The government is aiming to lower rice prices down to 29 pesos per kilo this year, but only for the poor households or those who fall under the 4P program. Balisacan also said it would take time before consumers feel the impact of the tariff reduction as global rice prices remain high.
And indeed, high food prices, climate change, geopolitical tensions, and a sharper than expected slowdown in China all pose risks to the Philippine economy. And that was the key message of the World Bank's Philippine Economic Report released just this afternoon. The bank retained its 5.8% growth forecast for the Philippines on 2020, or at least for 2024, on the back of strong household consumption and sustained strength in the services sector. GDP is expected to accelerate to 5.9% next year.
The bank also said the country needs to boost its resilience to climate change and extreme weather, citing disruptions that El Nino has caused and the prospect of La Nina later this year. As for whether or not the Philippines will hit its goal of graduating to upper middle income status by next year, World Bank senior economist Ralph Van Doorn said it will probably be later than that.
To end the show on a bad note again. Well, it's not so bad. 5.8 this year, 5.9 next year.
That's still amongst the fastest in Southeast Asia. So
at least on paper.
Pero ako nabitin ako dun sa interview natin kay attorney.
Ako nabitin ako sa lahat ng interview natin tonight. Okay, we try again tomorrow, girls.
We don't have enough time, but they will have an executive session tomorrow, so we should get more details from that. And also, as he said, he's filing motion for reconsideration on Thursday.
So alam na natin
to see on what grounds they will be filing the MR.
Okay, well, again, still a lot to happen before the week ends. But for today, that's it from us three here at The Big Story.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.
Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night.